Awakening of the Defiant. The darkness of deep space stretched endlessly before Commander Tessa Shaw as she stood on the observation deck of the Aurora, a human exploration vessel mapping the outer reaches of the Orion Arm. Humanity had expanded across dozens of star systems in the century since the development of the quantum fold drive, establishing colonies and outposts, making allies and enemies among the stars. But this region remained largely uncharted, mysterious and potentially dangerous. "Commander, we're picking up an anomalous reading," Lieutenant Marcus Reeves called over the comm. His voice held that mixture of excitement and apprehension that always accompanied unexpected discoveries. Tessa tapped her wrist interface, bringing up the sensor data. "What am I looking at, Lieutenant?" "Energy signature approximately 2 light hours from our position. Faint but persistent. The pattern suggests human technology, but there's nothing registered in this sector." She frowned. "Human tech out here? That's not possible." "That's what I thought. But the quantum resonance patterns are unmistakable. It's one of ours." 20 minutes later, Tessa stood on the bridge with her senior staff as the main view screen displayed a magnified image of what could only be described as a warship. Its sleek, angular hull was unlike modern vessels, but the design language was unmistakably human. Blackened scorch marks marred its surface, evidence of ancient battles, but otherwise it appeared intact. The Defiant, Chief Engineer Imani Okafor, read from her screen. "TSV Defiant, Theta-class destroyer. According to records, it was lost during the Arcturus campaign, over 80 years ago." Science Officer Dr. Pavel Volkov shook his head in disbelief. "Impossible. No ship could drift this far in 80 years, even accounting for stellar drift." "Unless it wasn't drifting," Tessa said quietly. "What's its power status?" "Minimal. Life support's offline, but there's a low-level output from what appears to be a quantum core. It's in some kind of hibernation mode." Imani's dark eyes reflected the data scrolling across her screen. "Commander, this ship is a museum piece, but its technology. Some of these readings suggest capabilities beyond our current fleet." Tessa studied the ancient warship. The Arcturus campaign was little more than a footnote in military history courses, a brief but intense conflict with a species called the Vraxians that had ended in an uneasy peace treaty. Details were surprisingly sparse for such a recent event. "Prepare a boarding team," she ordered. "I want to know how that ship got here, and what it was doing." The interior of the Defiant was eerily preserved, as if time had somehow stopped within its hull. Emergency lighting activated automatically as Tessa led her team through corridors that hadn't seen human footsteps in decades. Their environmental suits felt unnecessary. Atmosphere and gravity were functional, if minimal. "The preservation is remarkable," Pavel said, scanning the walls, almost as if the ship was deliberately placed in stasis. They reached the bridge, more compact than modern command centers, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. As Tessa approached the central command console, it suddenly illuminated, startling everyone. "Proximity detection still works," Imani muttered, but there was uncertainty in her voice. Text scrolled across the main screen. "Identify." Tessa hesitated, then spoke clearly. "Commander Tessa Shaw, Terran Exploration Vessel Aurora." A moment of silence. Then, voice PTERN, recognized as human authority. Command QOD requested. "I don't have command codes for this vessel. It's been missing for 80 years. The system paused then. "Content NGNCY protocol activated. Initiating fuel system. Diagnostiky." The bridge came alive around them, consoles lighting up one by one as the ship's systems reactivated. "Commander, we should return to the Aurora," Security Chief Alec Decker warned, hand moving to his sidearm. "We don't know what we're dealing with." Before Tessa could respond, a holographic figure materialized before them. A woman in an antiquated military uniform, her expression severe but somehow weary. "I am Araya, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Assistant, Integrated Command System of the TSV Defiant, the figure announced. You are not the crew I was expecting. They've been gone for 80 years, Tessa replied carefully. The Defiant was declared lost with all hands during the Arcturus campaign. The hologram's expression didn't change, but something in its posture shifted. 80 years. That aligns with my internal chronometer's drift calculation. Then the war is over. The conflict with the fractions. Yes, it ended shortly after your disappearance. ARI's form flickered, not the fractions, Commander. They were merely proxies. The true enemy remains hidden, manipulating events from the shadows. That is why the Defiant was created, to combat a threat humanity wasn't prepared to acknowledge. A chill ran down Tessa's spine. What threat? Before ARIA could answer, the ship's sensors blared to life. Multiple vessels approaching at sublight speed, the AI announced. Configuration matches Vraxian battle cruisers. That's impossible, Pavel protested. The Vraxians haven't been seen outside their territory in decades. Tessa activated her comm. Aurora, this is Shaw. Are you detecting multiple vessels approaching our position? Static filled the channel. Then Captain Reynolds' voice broke through. Commander, we have 5. No, 7 vessels on approach. They're not responding to hails and have activated weapon systems. You need to get back here now. The Aurora is a research vessel, ARIA stated. It has minimal defensive capabilities against a Vraxian battle group. Tessa's mind raced. Can this ship still function? Can it fight? The Defiant was designed to engage multiple enemy capital ships simultaneously, ARIA replied. Primary weapons and defensive systems are operational, but I require command authorization to engage. Tessa looked at her team, saw the mixture of fear and determination on their faces. They had families, lives beyond this mission. But if they abandoned the Defiant and fled, they would likely be pursued and destroyed anyway. ARIA, I am initiating emergency command protocol. Authorization Shaw, Alpha 709. Transfer all command functions to my authority. The hologram studied her for a long moment. You understand that the Defiant is more than a weapon, Commander. It carries secrets that certain factions would kill to keep buried. I understand that my crew is in danger, and this ship may be our only chance at survival. ARIA nodded. Command transfer accepted. Initiating combat protocols. I recommend your team secure themselves in command harnesses. The experience may be intense. As her team scrambled to the indicated positions, Tessa took the captain's chair. Interfaces molded themselves to her hands, neural links establishing connections to ship systems that felt both alien and instinctively familiar. What exactly is this ship capable of? She asked as ARIA's presence seemed to envelop the bridge. The Defiant was the prototype for what would have been humanity's next generation of defensive technology. The AI explained. Quantum-entangled weapon systems, precognitive defensive arrays, and a drive system that can execute tactical spatial jumps without conventional fold preparation. The approaching Vraxian vessels were visible now, their distinctive crescent-shaped hulls arranged in attack formation. They're hailing us, ARIA announced. On screen. The alien that appeared was vaguely reptilian, with mottled gray skin and vertical pupils that narrowed at the sight of humans on the Defiance bridge. Humans. It hissed, mandibles clicking in what Tessa recognized as agitation. You have reclaimed the weapon. Our masters predicted this day would come. Surrender the vessel, and your deaths will be merciful. Your masters. Tessa questioned. Who do the Vraxians serve? The alien's expression shifted to something like surprise. You still don't know. After all this time, your leaders continue to hide the truth. It laughed, a disturbing sound like grinding metal. It matters not. The Defiant will be reclaimed or destroyed. The transmission cut, and ARIA's voice became urgent. They're powering weapons. Conventional shields won't withstand a concentrated assault from this many vessels. Tessa gripped the command interfaces. Then let's show them what this ship can really do. The Defiant moved with an agility that defied its size, quantum drives engaging in ways that made reality itself seem to bend. The Vraxian vessels fired, energy beams slicing through the void where the Defiant had been a fraction of a second earlier. Targeting solutions acquired, Araya announced, awaiting fire command. Target their weapons and propulsion systems only, Tessa ordered. I want prisoners for questioning. Understood. The Defiant's weapons were unlike anything Tessa had ever witnessed. Instead of conventional energy beams or projectiles, they fired pulses that seemed to momentarily distort the fabric of space itself. Where they struck the Vraxian ships, systems simply ceased to function, as if the laws of physics had been locally rewritten. 3 enemy vessels drifted powerless after the first exchange. The remaining 4 adjusted their tactics, attempting to surround the Defiant. They're coordinating too perfectly, Halleck observed from his position. Those maneuvers suggest shared consciousness or external control. Analysis confirms, Araya agreed. The Vraxian vessels are receiving encrypted quantum transmissions from outside the system. They are being directed. Another volley rocked the Defiant, this one actually connecting as the enemy adapted to their defensive patterns. Shields at 82%. Araya reported. They're learning. Tessa made a split-second decision. Trace those transmissions to their source. Use the quantum entanglement network. That will divert power from offensive systems, the AI cautioned. Do it. We need to know who we're really fighting. As the Defiant continued its deadly dance with the remaining Vraxian ships, Araya's hologram flickered with increased data processing. Transmission source located. Coordinates indicate. That's not possible. What is it? Tessa demanded. The transmissions originate from Earth, specifically from a facility beneath the North American continent that doesn't exist in any public record. The revelation hit Tessa like a physical blow. Someone on Earth is controlling the Vraxians. Why would they attack us? Because the Defiant carries proof of their betrayal, Araya said grimly. The true purpose of the Arcturus campaign wasn't to defeat the Vraxians, but to test weapons against a controlled enemy force. The Vraxians aren't the enemy, Commander. They're the pawns, just as humanity has been. The final Vraxian vessel attempted to flee, but the Defiant's weapons disabled it before it could engage its full drive. As silence fell over the battlefield, Tessa stared at the drifting alien ships. We need to get this information back to Earth, to people who can use it. The individuals controlling the Vraxians have likely already dispatched additional forces, Araya warned. The Aurora will be targeted regardless of whether you're aboard. Tessa made another difficult decision. We'll evacuate the Aurora's crew to the Defiant. This ship is our best chance of reaching Earth alive and exposing whatever conspiracy we've stumbled into. As she gave the orders, Tessa couldn't shake the feeling that they had awakened something far more significant than an ancient warship. They had uncovered the first threads of a mystery that stretched back decades, one that might rewrite everything humanity thought it knew about its place among the stars. And somewhere on Earth, someone was very afraid of what the Defiant might reveal. Vengeance and redemption. The quantum fold into Earth's solar system was unlike any transition Tessa had experienced. The Defiant's advanced drive system cut through subspace with surgical precision, emerging exactly where ARIA had calculated. The dark side of Luma, shielded from Earth's immediate sensor coverage. 3 days had passed since the encounter with the Vraxian ships. The Aurora's crew had integrated with the Defiant's systems, learning to operate the advanced technology under Araya's guidance. From the Vraxian vessels, they had retrieved data cores that painted a disturbing picture: decades of manipulation, false flag operations, and hidden agendas. Earth Defense Command has detected our arrival, Lieutenant Reeves reported from his newly assigned tactical station. They're dispatching vessels to investigate. How long until they reach us? Tessa asked, reviewing the intelligence they had compiled. Approximately 18 minutes at their current acceleration. Araya's hologram appeared beside Tessa. Commander, I've completed analysis of the Vrakshin data cores. The information correlates with my historical records. The main view screen filled with images and documents, classified military reports, communications between unknown parties, records of experimental weapons tests conducted against civilian targets disguised as Vrakshin raids. The conspiracy appears to center around a group calling themselves the Directorate. HFY explained. High-ranking officials from Earth's military and government, united by the belief that humanity required an external threat to evolve beyond its internal conflicts. They manufactured a war, Pavel said in disbelief, created an enemy to unify humanity. But why? Imani questioned. Surely there were less destructive ways to achieve unity. The Arcturus campaign wasn't just about unity, HFY continued. It was a controlled environment to test experimental technologies and psychological warfare techniques. The Vrakshins were perfectly suited as test subjects, a species with sufficient technological capability to appear threatening, but isolated enough that their subjugation wouldn't draw attention from other galactic powers. Tessa scrolled through the evidence. And the Defiant. The logical destination would be the Global Information Network headquarters in New Geneva, Pavel suggested. From there, we could broadcast the evidence worldwide and to all colonial systems simultaneously. As the Earth defense vessels surrounded them, Tessa selected her team. Pavel for his scientific expertise, Alec for security, and Imani to handle any technical challenges. HFY would remain with the Defiant, creating a diversion if necessary. Commander Shaw of the research vessel Aurora, currently aboard the recovered TSV Defiant, a stern voice announced over the comm. You are ordered to power down all systems and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Tessa recognized the voice from historical records HFY had shown her. Admiral Victor Krantz, one of the founding members of the Directorate, artificially kept in power through life extension technologies, developed from Vrakshin experiments. This is Commander Shaw, she responded. We have suffered critical system failures following our emergency fold. Request immediate technical assistance and medical support for injured crew members. A pause. Assistance is incoming. Maintain position. As the Earth vessels moved to establish a boarding position, Tessa and her team slipped aboard the stealth shuttle, a sleek craft that utilized the same quantum field technology as the Defiant's weapon systems to remain virtually undetectable. The moment they realize you're gone, they'll lock down the entire system. HFY warned through their secure comlink. You'll have approximately 12 hours before the Directorate realizes what information you possess. Then we'll have to work quickly, Tessa replied as the shuttle detached from the Defiant, silently accelerating toward Earth. The descent to Earth's surface went unchallenged, the shuttle's advanced stealth systems rendering it invisible to conventional detection methods. They landed in a remote area outside New Geneva, abandoning the craft and continuing on foot to avoid any potential tracking. The Global Information Network headquarters was an imposing structure of glass and carbon composite, representing humanity's commitment to free information exchange. The irony wasn't lost on Tessa as they approached, using identification codes provided by HFY to bypass external security. Once we reach the central broadcast hub, we'll have minutes at most before security responds, Alec cautioned. Then we make those minutes count, Tessa replied. They moved through the building with purpose, drawing curious glances, but no immediate suspicion. The central hub was located on the 40th floor, a massive room filled with quantum processors and broadcasting equipment that connected to every human settlement across 24 star systems. As they entered, Imani immediately moved to the main console. I need 2 minutes to override the security protocols. You have one, Alec replied, securing the door. Imani's fingers flew across the interface. HFY, are you connected? Affirmative, the AI's voice came through their comms, beginning data transfer. Warning alarms suddenly blared throughout the building. Security breach detected. All personnel evacuate. This is not a drill. They've detected AI's intrusion, Pavel warned. Keep going, Tessa ordered. The main screen flickered, then stabilized as AI's data began flooding into the system. Evidence of the Directorate's manipulation, the truth about the fractions, the real purpose of the Arcturus campaign. Broadcast commencing, Imani confirmed. It's going out system-wide. The door to the hub exploded inward, and security forces poured through, weapons raised. Step away from the console. You are all under arrest for treason and espionage. Tessa raised her hand slowly. It's too late. The truth is already out there. A figure pushed through the security team. Admiral Krantz himself, his artificially preserved face twisted with rage. Do you have any idea what you've done? The panic you'll cause. The chaos. We've exposed a lie that's lasted for nearly a century, Tessa replied calmly. A lie that cost countless lives, both human and fraction. We did what was necessary, Krantz spat. Humanity needed direction, purpose. The Vraxians were a perfect tool, adaptable, intelligent, but ultimately controllable. Their sacrifice served a greater purpose. And what about the crew of the Defiant? Were they necessary sacrifices too? Krantz's expression hardened. Captain Chen and her crew made their choice when they betrayed their oaths, just as you have. The only betrayal was against humanity itself, Tessa countered. You created an enemy where there was none, manipulated entire species, all to maintain your own power. Before Krantz could respond, one of his aides approached urgently. Admiral, we're receiving reports from all colonies. Civil unrest is spreading. Military commanders are demanding confirmation of the broadcast authenticity. Lock it down, Krantz ordered. Declare martial law if necessary. It's too late for that, a new voice announced. All heads turned to see a delegation entering the room. Representatives from Earth's unified government, accompanied by military officers whose insignia marked them as being outside Krantz's direct command. Admiral Krantz, you and all known members of the Directorate are hereby relieved of duty pending investigation into these allegations, the lead representative stated. The evidence presented is too substantial to ignore. Krantz's face contorted with fury. You fools. Everything we did was to make humanity stronger. Without a common enemy, we'll tear ourselves apart. Perhaps, Tessa said quietly, or perhaps we'll finally have the chance to see what humanity can achieve when it's not manipulated by fear. As Krantz and his loyalists were taken into custody, Tessa received an urgent communication from the Defiant. Commander, Aria's voice came through clearly. Defense command vessels are standing down. However, long-range sensors have detected multiple fold signatures approaching the system. Vraxian? Tessa asked, alarmed. Negative. The configuration is unknown, but the quantum signature suggests advanced technology. They appear to be responding to our broadcast. Tessa exchanged glances with her team. New allies? Or new threats? Unknown. But whatever comes next, Commander, humanity will face it with the truth. Perhaps that is the greatest weapon of all. In the days that followed, the full extent of the Directorate's manipulation was revealed. The Vraxians, freed from their neural control implants, emerged not as conquerors but as victims, a species whose development had been artificially stunted and directed toward conflict. And beyond Earth's borders, the mysterious vessels resolved into diplomatic envoys from civilizations that had long observed humanity from afar, waiting for the moment when humans would recognize and reject the lies that had shaped their recent history. The Defiant, once meant to be the ultimate weapon in a manufactured war, became instead a symbol of revelation and redemption, a lost ship whose return had forced humanity to confront not only external threats, but the darkness within its own institutions. As Tessa stood on the observation deck of the Defiant, now orbiting Earth openly, she watched the lights of human civilization below and the stars beyond. Was it worth it? Aria asked, her hologram materializing beside Tessa. The chaos, the uncertainty that's followed. Tessa considered the question. The exposure of the Directorate had indeed brought turmoil. Political systems were being reorganized, military command structures rebuilt, relationships with other species, including the Vraxians, carefully reconstructed on foundations of truth rather than manipulation. "I believe Captain Chen would think so," she finally answered. "Her crew didn't die in vain. Their sacrifice meant something in the end." "And what comes next for humanity?" the AI inquired. Tessa gazed at the stars, thinking of the diplomatic envoys, the newly freed Vraxians, and all the possibilities that truth had unlocked. "I don't know," she admitted. "And that's exactly as it should be. For the first time in nearly a century, humanity's future isn't being directed by hidden hands. We get to choose our own path forward." The Defiant continued its orbit, a sentinel from the past, now guarding the future, a reminder that even the darkest secrets could not remain hidden forever, and that humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or manipulation, but in the courage to face the truth, however uncomfortable it might be. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, that truth was humanity's most powerful weapon of all.